Yeah,
No.
you can go to Rite Aid, Sam's Club,
I don't know, it depends on the evening.
Okay.
or else you get 8 free tests per month.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know
Isn't that
that.
cool?
Yeah,
So
I
I
didn't.
did. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they have them because they have a billing for them, but the health insurance, they don't wanna like deal with it.
Yeah.
So kinda cool. Isn't that great? Did you guys know that? So I was just at Rite Aid, and I think your insurance is probably like the cities. Does it say like for the pharmacy, like Supreme or something like that? Or Ultima? So for the pharmacy, if it says, yeah, but like, I think, and yours, I think it's like downtown Canton. But you can go to Rite Aid or Sam's Club and get 8 free tests per month, per person in your household.
Per month?
Do they have them in stock?
Per month, yeah.
Wow.
Because, and they keep saying thanks to Biden and Harris for everything. I'm like, well, they did learn from the previous, to just keep thanking themselves.
Yeah.
Take credit when due. But, so all the insurance companies have to offer it, really didn't want to have to do the reimbursement. So now it's just written up as a script and it's totally free. So just like as a little like helpful hint, 8 free per person. But just do it daily, just for fun.
If anyone needs a test, call Stephanie.
Right? Yeah, I got 8. Well, I don't yet. That's why I ran up here. I was
She's
like,
gonna have
Yeah, he
32
could
by
make some money.
yeah.
Friday.
He's like, ma'am, just 2 more minutes. I'm like, oh no, I gotta be here. Afterwards, right?
Yeah.
Where did you go for your conference?
Kalahari.
Okay, that's kind of fun.
I've never been.
Doesn't
but
it?
It's not like we're swimming.
The lazy river.
River.
They have a swim.
I know that's Matt's like they swim at bars. I was like that.
Yeah,
Probably not putting a
exactly.
bathing suit on, but thank you.
Well, you should.
The Ohio Parks and Recreation Association.
That's really cool.
And that, they should have it at a fun place.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Are you allowed to bring kids?
Oh, he looks
No, you are. But
Yeah.
yeah.
like the watch face.
I love that.
It'll be fun.
Okay, you have to take things just in case. The hot tub outside? Come on. You have to.
What's that?
Maybe.
I could do that. Countdown here.
Hot tub outside. Hey, where's that ring?
Maybe.
All right, we're gonna get started. I now call to order the special meeting of North Canton City Council on January 31st, 2022. The time is 7 p.m. Opening prayer, Member McLeeser.
Sure. Let us pray. Dear Lord, as we gather here on this cold winter evening, please grant us the wisdom as we do the work of our fellow citizens of the city of North Canton, and please be with us here this evening. Thank you so much. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ben, would you please call the roll?
Member Orr. Here. Member Schroyer.
Here.
Member Medini.
Here.
Member Volt.
Here.
Member Laren.
Here.
Member McLeeser.
Here.
And Member Wire.
Here.
7 present.
Okay, we'll now have recognition of the public. At this time, those wishing to address City Council may do so. Each speaker will be granted 5 minutes. Please begin by stating your name and address for the record. As a reminder, the rules on this will be on the screen, and a violation is grounds for termination of your speaking privileges. In addition, as this is a special meeting, we ask that your comments be limited to the items on the agenda.
Chuck Osborne, 307 Fairview Street, Southeast, North Canton, Ohio. In early 2020, the Wilder administration took on the role of land developer, risking taxpayer dollars in the process, and purchased 30.17 acres. This includes the former 9.6 acre Kmart property, 15.11 acres abutting Kmart to the north, and 5 acres to the west of the Kmart property. 19 months later, prospective buyers entered into agreements to purchase 19 acres of the 13.17 acres. Meijer's purchasing 16 acres, Big B Coffee and Sergeant Clean Car purchasing 3 acres. Commercial development is required to construct a retention basin to control stormwater runoff. Typically, businesses purchase adequate acreage for a needed basin, but strangely that is not happening here. These 3 businesses will occupy all available Main Street frontage, leaving no other desirable locations for commercial development. The combined acreage of these 3 businesses leaves 11 of the 30.17 acres available. Why can't the needed retention basin for these businesses be placed on these remaining 11 acres? One wonders, are these remaining acres so unbuildable that you can't construct the needed retention basin on them? 5 acres of the 30.17 acres have already purchased are unbuildable due to the previous record of shallow coal mines in that area. Mr. Caplia, the former owner of that property, told me this when I met with him in 2002 as a member of North Canton Council. I am aware of a second parcel of the original 13.17 acres containing 15.11 acres. In addition to the extensive underground mines, was a former Hoover dump site that has significant environmental issues. The legislation before this council body, Ordinance No. 18/2022, seeks to purchase a 4th parcel of 10.7 acres north of Stratavon for the stated purpose of a park and retention basin. The seller of the 10.7 acre property is the same seller who sold the city the already purchased 5 acres. Both parcels are equally impacted by the existence of shallow coal mines throughout the area. Why are you contemplating buying more unbuildable mined property instead of using the 11 acres remaining from the 30.17 acres previously purchased? Surely the remaining 11 acres can support the construction of a retention basin. Please be honest with members of council and the taxpayers regarding the plans for these remaining 11 acres. If you can't build a retention basin on the mined 5 acre parcel previously purchased, how do you expect to build a retention basin on the equally mined 10.71 acres? Lastly, does the existence of mines combined with hazardous industrial waste on the 15.11 acres portion of the 30.17 acres already purchased prevent construction of a detention basin? These questions need to be answered unequivocally and honestly for members of City Council and taxpayers. Taxpayers need to know if more than 36% of the total 30.17 acres previously purchased is tainted and has no value. At a price per acre, purchase price of $145,840 for the original 30.17 acres, this equates to a loss of $1,604,243 for taxpayers. Who on this council would purchase 30.17 acres knowing that 11 of those acres would ultimately have no value and no use? Council and taxpayers need the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth regarding the remaining 11 acres that remain unsold and has little likelihood of a buyer given its location and impediments. Thank you. Thanks, Jim. I guess I do have some time left. Again, what are we going to do with these remaining 11 acres? Nobody's going to want to locate a business on a side street back in a very isolated area. Why won't you build the detention basin on these remaining 11 acres? I would like to see that discussed. And I'm also disappointed in the administration. We all walked out of here a week ago being told the next council meeting was on February 7th. The very next day, we get word that, oh, we're having a meeting next week, a special council meeting, and again on Tuesday, and again on Wednesday. Why does the city repeatedly rush to judgment on momentous, important decisions? I've seen it for 20 years. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Anyone else wishing to speak tonight?
Glenn Saylor Jr., 340 Reed Avenue, Northwest, North Canton. Come tonight to talk about the purchase of the 10.71 acres from Mr. and Mrs. Caplia for development of the city park. I'm not necessarily against that purchase, but I question how the purchase price of $397,600 was arrived at. I emailed the clerk of council last week and asked for all appraisals on this property requested and were paid for by the city in the last year. Mr. Young's email response to me on January 28th was that, quote, "The city has had no appraisals performed on the property," unquote. In fact, the only current appraisal is one from the county auditor's office, which appraises this property at only $165,400. In comparison, the city last year paid roughly $30,000 per acre for the Kmart commercial property, while they would be paying over $7,000 more per acre for this property, which the administration admits has no commercial value. The purchase agreement was signed by the Caplias on October 1st, 2021, and signed by Mayor Wilder on October 5th of 2021. Yet the ordinance dealing with this purchase was presented to council only last week, almost 4 months after the purchase agreement was signed. And the administration is now trying to get this passed on an emergency basis this week. As has been discussed too many times in the past by myself and other speakers before council, the use of emergency legislation has been sorely abused, and this is yet another example. I also take issue with the city giving the Caplias naming rights to the park. If the Caplias want to donate the land to the city for a park, I'm all in favor of allowing them to name the park. However, it appears that the Caplias are going to profit handsomely from this sale, so what merits them also having the naming rights? There are other issues in this agreement also which I take disagreement with, but I'm not going to go into those too much tonight. Hopefully, members of the council as trustees for the city of, or the citizens of North Canton will get the answers to these questions and issues that have been posted by the citizens who have spoken here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address council? Okay, seeing none, we'll be moving on. Can I get a motion and a second to read by title only ordinance 14-2022?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ben?
You need to call opposed.
Pardon me?
Opposed.
Oh, opposed, sorry.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of North Canton to enter into an agreement with the North Canton Community Improvement Corporation for the conveyance of the real property known as part of Outlot 192 in the city of North Canton, Stark County parcel number 100002818, and 1447 North Main Street in the city of North Canton, Stark County parcel number 100002582. From the city to the North Canton Community Improvement Corporation and declaring the same to be an emergency.
As we discussed last week, these are two of the parcels, first being the current Kmart parcel, and the second is the rectangle property to the west of it, currently zoned commercial. This is the first, or the next step in the sale of those properties to buyers. It's important to note that in the legislation, the revenue from the sale will be returned from the CIC to the city. We should also note for the record that the sale of these properties conforms with the requirements of the Ohio Revised Code, and which allows the transfer from the city to the CIC, Community Improvement Corporation.
Okay,
That's it.
I move to adopt.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Could I get a motion and a second to suspend the rules of council requiring 3 readings?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And finally, a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 14/2022 under suspension of the rules.
Revolt moves.
Where, second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Get a motion and a second to read by title only ordinance 15/2022.
Revolt moves.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
An ordinance authorizing the Director of Administration of the City of North Canton to advertise and receive bids according to specifications established by the Department of Administration and authorizing the mayor, upon Board of Control approval, to enter into contracts for the completion of those projects and purchases over $50,000 and budgeted for in the 2022 annual budget as adopted by Ordinance 64/2021 and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Okay, we did talk about this last week, and last week we showed on our screen. You want to show that again, Ben? Daniel, or is that a pain?
No.
The purchases that are over $50,000, just as a reminder. You can always look on your phone as well. But these are the purchases, and so if there are no other questions, I know we talked a little bit about some different things last week, and move to adopt.
Revolt seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion and second to suspend the rules of council requiring 3 readings.
So moved.
Revolt seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And finally, a motion and second to adopt ordinance 15/2022 under suspension of the rules.
Revolt moves.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thanks for showing the screen.
Okay, I get a motion and a second to read by title only ordinance 16/2022.
Revolt moves.
We're in second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ben?
An ordinance authorizing the appropriation of funds of the City of North Canton to be appropriated for current expenses during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2022.
Okay.
Before we
Oh,
adopt that, let me read this real quick. May I have a motion and a second to amend ordinance 16/2022 to include section 3 as shown in the copy in your packets this evening. The section did not appear in the draft to present a committee, but
We talked
it
about
was
it.
needed for audit purposes. It was discussed.
Yeah.
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, I can go, sorry.
Okay, again, we talked about this, and Ben, if you want to scroll back to the beginning, you can see the funds that are being, needed to be appropriated. If there aren't any other questions, I move to adopt.
As amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Motion is second to suspend the rules of council requiring 3 readings.
So moved.
Revolt seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And finally, a motion to adopt, motion and a second to adopt ordinance 16/2022 under suspension of the rules.
Revolt moves.
Where in second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion and second to read by title only ordinance 17/2022.
Revolt moves.
Where in second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
An ordinance amending chapter 953 municipal swimming pool of the codified ordinances of the City of North Canton in order to grant the Director of Administration authority to establish seasonal rate schedules for admission to and membership for the municipal Dogwood swimming pool and declaring the same to be an emergency.
A note before we start this as well. Let's see, so please note that the added language requiring financial documentation in 953.02B and 953.03B, which was added pursuant to Member Matheny's successful motion to move forward to in the committee at the last meeting. Go ahead, Christina, sorry.
Okay, so we discussed this at length at our last meeting. Essentially, this legislation gives the administration authority to consult with the YMCA on setting pricing and rates for the dogwood pool. And we did add in the requested language that Mr. Matheny requested. So I would move that we adopt 17/2022 on emergency.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion carries. Get a motion and a second to suspend the rules of council regarding three readings.
Revolt moves.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And finally, a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 17-2022 under the suspension of the rules.
Revolt moves.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, at this time, may I please have a motion and a second to amend the order of the agenda so as to consider ordinance 19-2022 prior to ordinance 18-2022.
Revolt will move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So we're just flipping the last two. They're just gonna go in order of this. So, motion is second to read by title only ordinance 19-2022.
Revolt moves. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ben?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of North Canton on behalf of the city of North Canton to enter into an agreement to participate in the Ohio Department of Transportation's cooperative purchasing program to contract for the purchase of sodium chloride for the 2022-2023 winter season and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Okay, this was discussed last week. David did a good job leading the discussion. This is for the ODOT cooperative purchasing program. I think we all know the importance of that. Are there any questions or comments? I move we adopt.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion and second to suspend the rules of council requiring 3 readings.
Revolt moves.
Warren second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion and a second to adopt ordinance 19-2022 under suspension of the rules.
Revolt moves.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. At this time, may I please have a motion and a second to enter in an executive session for the purpose of discussing the purchase of property for public purposes as permitted under ORC 121-22G2, specifically to discuss the acquisition proposed by ordinance 18-2022.
I will make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call.
Okay, roll call.
Member Orr? Member Matheny?
Yes.
Member Revolt?
Yes.
Member Schroeder?
Yes.
Member Waring?
Yes.
Member Wyatt?
Yes.
And Member McLeod.
Yes.
7 yes, 0 opposed.
Okay, for the record, will the Director of Administration, Law, and Finance, Mayor Wilder, Deputy Director of Administration, please join us in executive session. At this time, we're entering executive session and are off the record. We will return at the conclusion of the executive session. That's a good question. Where is executive session?
Rob's off.
The door's open.
How's it going?
Good.
How about yourself, Chuck? Yeah, been a while. Haven't been down to this. When did they move in over here as opposed to,
December,
December?
I walked in here and had a cow, literally had a cow, right in the middle of COVID, and they crammed everybody in this little sardine can.
You can't run off.
I'm wondering if there's ever,
Okay.
like, some big issue that a whole bunch of people when they attend, you know, it's,
I know it.
Actually grabbed my shoulder and said, you can go.
doesn't
know, it
look
says-
like that's a problem right now.
Instead of spending all this money on what they're doing now, they ought to be expanding City Hall and putting council back in a prominent position up there. They're just being shuttled off into a no man's land.
I appreciate you doing the meetings too, cause I can't hear half the time from
I
this
can't
one.
either, that's why
So,
I can actually videotape them in here and miss some of it, but my audio is picking it up great.
yeah. Plus the other thing, I can't tell who's talking where, when people are talking, you kinda zoom in on them so you've got an idea.
I try to,
Yeah, so that's appreciated, so.
Can't believe we're already 1/12 of the way through 2022.
Yeah. You gonna come tomorrow then?
We'll see what happens here.
I'll be here tomorrow if you'll be here tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, I'll be here.
So I don't want to be the only one here, so I was surprised that there weren't a few
Well,
more
I
people.
appreciate you coming, yeah.
So,
People are busy and COVID isn't helping things out.
well, if you wouldn't have sent me that email, I would have had no idea that there was a meeting tonight, because I was like you, I was figuring, okay, February, whatever. I didn't look at the agenda or anything, so,
There's very little understanding of what goes on in the community with our government. None at all, really. How's the family? They all doing good?
yeah, everybody's doing good. So. Does, some of the old timers, are they coming anymore, or are they?
No.
No.
You got all your shots?
Well,
Are you gonna have
depends
about?
on- depends on what you mean by fully vaccinated, you know. 2 shots yes, 3 shots no. So,
Yeah, I've had 3 here. They're talking about a 4th here starting in March. If anybody's been through the military, you line up and you get about a half a dozen, maybe a dozen shots.
Yeah. And you make sure you
No
don't,
questions asked.
and you don't, make sure you don't lose that card either,
And no questions asked.
so. I just wish they would've made that card more like a driver's license or something, cause it's too inconvenient to, you know,
I
carry
had
around.
mine miniaturized a little bit. Plus I have it on my phone. You can stick it on your phone.
Oh, can you?
Yeah,
Okay.
take a picture, stick it on your phone.
I didn't know what they accepted as valid, whether they'd accept that on the telephone or not, you know?
I took a trip to Kentucky, Indiana, and Tennessee last summer, and I was so proud I had my card. I made sure I carried the actual card with me. Nobody cared anywhere.
I don't know if did those states require you show proof when you come in? I know New York City, they
Do they?
pretty much, yeah, require you to have an ID, picture ID and your
Mm-hmm.
vaccination card, or else you're not getting into a restaurant, so.
Are you still working now, or are you
No,
retired?
I retired at the end of 2018,
Oh, okay,
so,
so you're enjoying the good life.
yeah. So I spent a good 6 months taking care of my father-in-law till he passed
Oh,
away,
so
so.
you
He had a good life, he lived to 91 years old,
Oh,
so I
bless his
can't
heart.
complain about that, so, and he never was in a nursing home or anything like that,
Yeah.
so he had good quality of life. So, at the last 6
was
months.
he pretty sharp to the end?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Wow.
to about the last
That's
2
the most
weeks or
important
so,
thing.
Yeah,
Who wants to lay there as a vegetable and not even know you're alive?
yeah, yeah, so. Then, my wife, she just retired in, October, so we're both retired now.
You gonna, well, with COVID, I don't know, you thinking about traveling anywhere, or,
But
of
we're
course,
gonna-
Florida's pretty chilly.
Yeah, I think we're gonna go to North Carolina in the summer,
Okay,
we were gonna go up to the, upper New York in the fall, but with COVID and everything, we decided not to, you know, so.
Well, things subsided last summer. In fact, I made a 15-day genealogy trip. I went all over God's creation. Went to Louisville, Bowling Green, Nashville, back to Louisville, Evansville, Indiana, up to Indianapolis, back to Louisville. But I don't think I'm going to wait till things settle down a little bit more.
Were you tracking your side of the family or your wife's? Or?
Yeah, I've been doing it for 40 years.
Oh, okay. That's something I've never really done, so.
Yeah, I've run into a couple, what they call stone walls. I actually hired Ancestry on a contract basis to research my father's grandfather. And I was told something back in the 80s by a woman who was almost 90 then, that my great-grandfather had murdered somebody in Tennessee. And then when Ancestry came back and said, we don't trace you back to an Osborne. I'm thinking, oh my God, I'll bet you he changed his name to hide his criminal past. Of course, back in the 1880s, you could do that.
Yeah.
You could change it on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
But,
well, heck, that one guy that robbed that bank up in Cleveland in the 60s, he changed his name and went up to Boston, and
yeah,
they didn't realize who it was till right at the end of his life there. He was even good friends with some FBI agents up there. They never suspected a thing, you know.
So my great-grandfather is not an Osborne, he's a Bandy, B-A-N-D-Y. But I still don't have a first name, and I've been in touch with several people that I'm closely related to down there in, well, I guess they were originally in Tennessee. And now I have them working on my maternal side. My great-grandmother was a little tiny woman, Nancy Ann Brown. You know, you can imagine tracing the Browns.
Yeah.
And she outlived 3 husbands by 31 years. And they actually, I guess, lived down in Benton County, Ohio here.
Okay, I know where that's
So that
at.
looks like they've traced them out to Illinois, which may be where she was born. But we haven't found any paperwork to support all that yet. But yeah, I enjoy the history of it, the geography of it.
Yeah, I did quite a bit of business down in Benton County.
So yeah, it's the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. There's the one time I went down there and, because I worked with the auditor and treasurer's office.
Mhm.
I think it was the treasurer I went into, and he had a rattlesnake skin on his wall. And I said, where'd you get that from? He goes, from right here in Benton County, you know? So, then we went out to eat at this little restaurant, and more of a diner type thing. This guy comes in with real long hair, leathers and everything, and the treasurer goes, guess what that guy does for a living? I go, I have no idea. He's got to be he's a biker type or something, you know. He goes, no, he's a priest.
Yeah, it's a different world.
But yeah.
Everybody marches with their own drummer.
But the only thing you see down there is truckloads of lumber going out, you know.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't even a hotel in that county that I could stay at.
Yeah,
You know, you had to go outside of the county to get it.
I was going to travel down there and did a little research, but actually Ancestry wound up providing me the documents that I was pursuing anyway.
Yeah, that would be interesting, you know, to do research like that. You know.
Mm-hmm.
You get pretty good access, like when you go into a courthouse or whatever, to records, or how do you?
Yeah. Of course, I did that when I started way back in the late 70s and early 80s. Nowadays, there's a lot of stuff online with Ancestry.
Yeah.
but still you need to go to the source. Newspaper.com is a pretty good source too. They got these old newspapers. I found when my great-grandfather, maternal great-grandfather, he was in a lawsuit in 1903, and I had to go to the county to get the civil lawsuit. Turned out to be a squabble over land. But I was kind of surprised because he had already moved over into Kentucky, and this started in Vanderburgh County across the river in Evansville, and then they transferred it up to Gibson County. And Vanderburgh County said they couldn't locate the record, but luckily the entire case file was turned over to Gibson County, so I was able to get the entire case from them. And use state archives. Kentucky's has a good state archives. In fact, on that trip I went down to Nashville. They opened a brand new state archives. It's a magnificent, beautiful place.
The thing that always amazed me is the penmanship that those people had back then. You know, you look at those some of those documents, and it's beautiful handwriting. You know, not like my scribbling. You know, so.
And it's interesting to see what people died of. TB was rampant back then, but I've come across relatives down in Tennessee that would shoot it out, and one of them died with a bullet in the brain down in Memphis, where they shipped him off and found a young 18-year-old kid. I think he was like my second cousin, 3 times removed. He was a young 18-year-old kid out hunting, and he accidentally shot himself, died. So you can kind of get an idea of people's lifestyles by kind of what they died of. You know, a lot of them died in their 50s, 40s.
I mean, when you think about it, when Social Security first started and they said 65, you know, well, they all expected somebody to live to maybe 70, you know.
At the latest,
retire 65 and a couple years later kick the bucket. You know? They weren't expecting people to live to 90 or 100, you know.
And all those contributions were gone that you had made.
Yep.
But it works the other way around. Some people, like your father-in-law, he was able to collect probably far beyond what he had contributed.
Yeah. So does Larry come to many meetings now?
He gets frustrated, and he doesn't like coming into this room. He'll come in and speak and then leave.
Yeah.
I try to very definitely socially distance and wash hands, but I'm kind of sporadic on wearing a mask. I've got one with me, but are your kids still in the area, or are they gone?
Yeah, everybody's still
Here, huh?
2 of them live in North Canton and 1 lives up in Ellett, so.
Okay.
So everybody's close by, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't complain about that. So we babysit my daughter's kids twice a week, so that takes 2 days out of the week. So then we're on call with the other ones. Like today, St. Paul's didn't have school because they had a water main break.
I saw some digging over there, and I wonder what was going on. I kind of thought that might be what it is.
Yeah, they had a water main break on Sunday, and so they canceled school today. So we invited the kids over for pancake breakfast this morning. So they had a good time.
Go see Grandma and Grandpa, huh?
Yeah.
How old are they?
Our oldest is now 10 years old. We've got 9 of them, so.
You got 9 grandkids?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
My 2 sons kept trying to compete with each other. When one would have a kid, the other one would say, hey, we're gonna have a kid too, you know? So,
Well, they weren't putting themselves out too badly.
yeah, I think my two oldest ones are done with kids now, but my
Yeah.
daughter, I think, she's got two girls right now. Her youngest is just about 4 or 5 months old now, so I think they want
Try for a boy.
try for at least one more for a boy.
Yeah.
So,
Roll that dice.
yeah. Yeah, we never can tell, so. Good job. We have a good time getting together, so. Are things any better over in your neighborhood with those lights from the parking lots or anything?
I'm talking to an attorney, and
I still don't understand why they didn't press harder to allow that buffer with those trees, you know?
that's the least of the issue right now. I don't know if you ever noticed, when you go into the YMCA, the parking lot right there, in the entrance, they have two lights at opposite ends, and they're floodlights, and they just shoot horizontally straight in opposite directions. And of course, if anybody knows anything about zoning, parking lot lights are supposed to be directed straight down. And,
So did you talk to them about it?
yeah, cities, they don't like me here, so they're not gonna pursue it.
But I mean, did you talk, is it the YMCA's lights that are the issue?
Yeah.
Do any of the other neighbors have a problem with it, or is it?
People are busy, and, you know, and you get used to things and you just don't even think about it.
Cause I remember that one, maybe they changed it since then, but, the one time I noticed that one big light that was in the Hoover Company would shine out, and it was, seemed like it was extremely bright and going into the neighborhoods too.
Well, I don't know why they leave that second floor
Yeah, that's the
lobby
one.
all lit up,
Yeah, yeah.
365 days a year. And they've added lights out front. I don't even know why, they got that indoor batting facility in there. All they need is a little sign out front. There's a small niche people that are interested in that. You don't need to keep it lit up day and night. So they've added to the lights. But between my house and the Y, we're continually losing more and more trees. And if you look at those lights, if you ever go over there, they've actually welded some angle iron and mounted additional lights to the pole. It's not a standard light pole. They've jury rigged something, and if we get that more snow this week, I don't know where we're gonna put it. On those dinky lots we have over there.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't hear how much snow we were supposed to get. How much did they say?
Well, we're like, kinda looks like right on the edge, either freezing rain with some snow or vice versa. But if we get any more snow,
They've been pretty accurate this year as far as the predictions. You know, some years they say, oh, we're gonna get 6 inches of snow, and you wake up in the morning and there's nothing. But this year they've been pretty spot on with the predictions, so. How many views do you get on YouTube from your?
well, I need to create my own channel. Right now I've got over 200 videos, but I need to put them in a central place so somebody can just go there without me giving them links to it all the time. And I need to get the services of somebody like Ben. Ben, you know how to create a channel? A YouTube channel? No, I don't have a channel. Not a publicly known one. Anyway,
Or just search for your name?
I do admire you for your tech skills, because I'm too scared. I'm getting in there and do something and, oh my God, I can't. I screwed it up and I can't fix it.
I just searched for your
Am I in
name.
your way?
Well, you're making this table.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If you upload videos, do you automatically have a channel on you?
Well, I have a channel, but it's not a named one that the public can just independently find.
I just searched your name and it came up.
Yeah, that's what I do, I just search your name.
Really?
And it's either you or the one time I searched your name and it came up with some guy that was a harmonica player or something that had the same name as you did.
Chuck Osborne and the Barbie dolls, Give Me Your Hand.
That might be it, I don't know, it was like weird.
Osborne, Cruel
I said-
Heartbreaker.
I said, this ain't the right
That
Chuck
sounds like
Osborne,
me.
that's not the right Chuck Osborne, so.
Well, it doesn't have a name, and I've asked around. I'm going to find somebody that'll hold my hand doing that, because I'm just not too brave when it comes to some of that stuff. I didn't have all the training like Ben's got.
You didn't grow up in the same decade that Ben did. Neither did I.
No,
We're with two IT directors as parents.
Oh, God. Well,
I imagine I'm about 51 years older than Ben. I'm old enough to easily be your grandfather, maybe even your great-grandfather. I'd like to be Ben's age again and know what I know. I don't want to have to relearn it all.
I don't think I wanna be young again. I was happy at the generation I grew up in, you know, today, I don't think I could handle some of the things that are going on, so.
Well, it seems like it's a hard decision for him. You know, if I had time to speak longer, in the southwest part of town, they're on septic systems that are failing, and we've done nothing about it. A lot of the southwest has no storm sewers. We certainly need sidewalks all over the city.
Yeah,
To go out and spend this kind of money,
yeah, my son's he lives in the city, but he's got septic, he's got water, but septic. So, I think they have to have the county come out twice a year, I think, to inspect it, or once a year.
well, they're failing. It's been in the press a few years back. Fonte talked about it a few times, but nobody took really an interest to do something. So I'll be out here spending these hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars, and we don't pay these taxes to speculate in the real estate market. We pay them for services, police, fire, streets. These things are wobbly. But I guess I got enough to, and I just can't help feeling, it wasn't just but a few years ago, we had to curtail employment in the city. We were struggling, and now we're out just spending big bucks.
Yeah.
And there's never enough tax dollars anyway to do what needs to be done.
Well, I think, they should be getting a lot more tax dollars in with, so many people working from home though. Cause my son was working at Firestone, so he was paying Akron taxes, but last year.
Yeah, they're like, what,
He
6.5 or something?
that was, I think they're 2.5% for Akron, so.
But then
he's
you got
already-
state sales tax. Oh,
No, I'm talking about city tax.
Okay.
So, since he worked from home last year, he's already applied to Akron for a refund, then he'll have to pay more Canton, so,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of people there that are in that same situation, you know? Especially if it's advantageous to do it, you know, like,
Yeah.
you're gonna get basically 1% refund back to you.
We should have raised our income tax a long time ago, 1.5%. But see, nobody catches on. We make up that shortage in the income tax with property taxes and these levies, police levy and street levy and all this other stuff. What's that?
No police levy, I think is why it's giving you a lot.
Okay, fire levy? All right, just the firemen.
Jackson took no cut.
What's that?
Jackson took no cut. during
Jackson.
COVID. Jackson Township Police Department, all the ones that are funded by levies,
Mhm.
levies are consistent. What the property value is, what the taxes that come in from that, that was consistent money for Jackson Township Police Department. When all the rest of us were watching what we were doing because of COVID and the concerns over
Mhm.
people not working, yeah, it didn't affect the townships that work off the levies.
Well-
Not saying I don't wanna do that.
I'm talking about the special
Pros and
levies we
cons
have.
to
We
that.
have, we have a fire levy, a street levy, and we have a storm sewer one or something. There's several levies, and that's how they make up for the low income tax. Plus, we have no businesses here to lure with the low income tax, because there's no place to develop. So it's self-defeating, I think.
Yeah, I think maybe the city of North Canton should advertise that a little bit more about, that if they like worked in Canton, or they worked in Akron, or
Mhm.
Cleveland even, and they were working from home last year, that they could apply for a refund from that city and then pay North Canton, and they, because so many people don't know about that.
Well, they just recently ruled on that, didn't they? It was kind of up in the air, and
It was in the Canton paper,
Yeah, I saw it there. But
if you get the paper or if you read the paper.
yeah. But my son talked to like half a dozen people that work up at
They-
Bridgestone, Firestone, that live in North Canton, and none of them, you know, he said, are you gonna apply for refund from the city of Akron since you worked at home all year? They didn't even know anything about it, you know, so. And I think some of these big cities like Akron and Cleveland are hoping the heck that people don't apply for refunds, cause they're gonna be hurt in some of these cities.
Does it have to be full-time if you work from home?
you know, any kind of
It
income.
could be,
Even
I-
if you work like a month here and a month there and you like that?
Altman Hospital, they click where they log in at. Altman Hospital takes out North Canton and Canton City tax.
Yeah, they know where you
If you
work.
work at Altman and you have a job that's capable of, if you're just a support staff, and you have a job that can work from home, on the days you work from home, they track that. So that money goes to North Canton and the other money goes to Canton.
Okay, even if like a month you worked at home and then you went back in, it was back and forth? Oh.
Yeah, as of last year, they were tracking it. So I imagine there's other large companies that should be tracking it that way as well.
Supposedly it's on the employers to verify if you work from home. So we'll see how that works out.
I'm not sure, cause I heard if you work less than 20 days in the city or whatever, you don't, it's not counted. So like if you work all but 20 days in North Canton, you just pay North Canton tax. You know, let's say you work 20 days in Canton, the rest you worked in North Canton, you just have to pay North Canton tax. I'm not sure that that's what I've heard, so.
I was just thinking of my neighbor, and whether there's a month, maybe 6 weeks that she worked at home, then they went back. I think the month of January she worked at home again, it's been off and on like that, but I'd say the majority of the time, just off the top of my head, she probably worked in Green, that's where she works, in Green. And I was just wondering, doesn't affect me, but I was just wondering. Maybe she likes working from home. Saves a lot of time traveling and gas and food and
Well, I hear that a lot of regular businesses are thinking about switching over to that kind of employment arrangement.
they predicted that. I keep on telling everybody, I went to a workshop in 1995, and it was in education, and they were predicting back then that
Really?
majority of the people.
That far back, they had that vision.
Yeah, that people would be working from home. Well, I couldn't imagine working from home for me, because I like being out with people and talking. But you know, that's what people, and it's coming. COVID just moved it along.
They're working on technology to be able to dispatch remotely.
Oh, really?
There were some places that were exploring the technological requirements to set up a dispatch from a different place other than a dispatch center.
Well, free up some place for you.
The cost for that equipment is just astronomical.
Pretty pricey, huh?
Yeah. Very pricey.
That's where we ought to be spending some millions on, is new safety center.
Well, the voters didn't want to approve it.
You know, I never heard any discussion of this when I was on council back in 2001. And yet, when I got on council, we had $18 million in reserve. Why they didn't do it then? Bite the bullet?
There's a whole bunch of what ifs when the Hoover Company was still active.
Well, they were still going strong then.
Yeah, there was a whole bunch of what ifs when they were actively strong that, why didn't we do things back then?
But in '03, they went out, spent $4.2 million for Arrowhead. Totally unbudgeted, unplanned. They just woke up one day.
There's a lot to be said for some of the cities or communities that have money in their park system. And, you know, as you say, levies, that's how some of the other places do it, because they have the levies.
Mhm.
Or like Green one day just all of a sudden became a city.
They grew overnight, the whole county,
Broke the news to all
Yeah,
the,
they were smart, it took the whole township with them.
whole township.
Yeah.
So did Hudson.
they broke the news to everybody that worked on the airport property.
Oh, really?
You know, a bunch of pissed off National Guardsmen.
Yeah, 'cause they didn't get to vote.
No, they just walked in one day and gave us a meeting about, hey, here's how you're gonna pay your income taxes rate. What?
Well, if you wanna drive down a nice street, somebody's gotta pay for it. And you want police protection, somebody's gotta pay for all that. You poor guys out there risking your life. I wish they'd make it a big time felony. Anybody that resists arrest and tries to evade police, it ought to be an automatic few years in jail. It's, you know, I hate to think of my father having to go out every day wondering how many people he's gonna have to fight over. They need to clamp down on that stuff. And why people who are caught try to fight their way out of it, I just don't understand.
Well, the Manhattan DA isn't even gonna press charges against you for resisting arrest anymore.
I think I might have heard something like that.
Or even obstructing an officer trying to
Yeah.
make an arrest. And like you said, you can basically take off now and the police aren't gonna chase you, you know what I mean? So you basically can do a crime and once you hop into your car and take off, you know?
Well, I'd like to see a quick end of that kind of stuff.
Well, maybe I'll watch the rest of this on TV
Okay,
at home, so.
well, I appreciate you coming by and Carrie. People are so busy, they just preoccupied with their own life. And then they wonder why things are going to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised there aren't more. I know tonight's not a good night to be out, but still kind of surprised that nobody's here. So, of course, I should speak. I haven't been here for I don't know how long. So,
Well, Brad's a regular. You know Brad back there?
no.
He's a quiet guy.
We used to call him the corner guy.
Miriam still ever come anymore? Or?
No, I haven't seen her at council meetings.
Yeah.
She's on this charter
Well, that's good.
advisory
Still-
committee.
She's still keeping active then, that's good.
She watches a lot and sends me or council people emails.
Oh, okay, well, that's good. She's a sharp lady, I'll tell you. I can only hope to be as sharp as she is with her age, so. But she never divulged to me how old she is, so.
No,
I
she's
don't know.
pretty guarded on that.
Yeah. Because I point blank asked her one day, I said, do you mind if I ask you how old you are? And she goes, no, I'm not gonna tell you.
Yeah, she'll put it right out
I
there.
go, okay. Yeah. Alrighty, well, I might see you tomorrow then, if they're gonna have some tomorrow.
Okay, Glenn,
Okay, see you guys later.
safe.
fun?
It's time to go home.
We're getting close.
Yeah.
You have the easy drive.
Huh?
You have an easy drive.
I do. Be safe going home, everyone.
Thank you.
You too.
Supposed to be 46 tomorrow. Wow.
Is it really?
Yeah.
It's Wednesday, Thursday, I guess we have to worry about. Freezing rain.
Wednesday night going into Thursday.
Pardon?
Supposed to be Wednesday night going into Thursday.
Thursday, right. Up until, a little bit Friday morning, whatever that means.
Especially if we are coming back in the morning, is it worth driving home? Yeah. You didn't expect council to be this riveting, did you?
You know, sometimes there's nice calm ones like this. Or if it's the calm. I'm just sitting on the couch just listening to it.
Yeah. There were some nice parts of being virtual.
Ability to multitask with multiple screens.
I couldn't do that part. I'm good, but not that good.
Software that automatically stops them from talking over each other.
I think we have 2 hours one night.
Did you?
We've had them go that long, haven't we?
Oh, yeah, then last week was 6:45
Uh,
to 9:20.
executive session.
Oh,
The longest executive session I've been here for was an hour and a half. So there may have been longer ones before me, but that's the longest one I've sat out here for.
Usually those occur during contract negotiations.
Been lucky the past couple rounds with them. We haven't had any huge disagreements. Just cursed us by saying that out loud, I know.
get any answers to your questions?
What's that?
Any question you put up in here? For instance, the money.
I'm waiting for him to come back and say something.
Oh, hell, I understand.
I
Have they ever
mean,
said, I've heard you ask questions for 10 years and I've never heard an answer come out of
what's that tell you about our government?
them.
But there's literally 11 acres left that I guess is gonna be unusable, at least. Put your detention basin on that, or retention basin, and you don't have to go out and buy another 11 acres at an exorbitant price.
Well, when I look at a property map on a program I've had, the city's already bought it. It already says City of North Canton.
Not this second one,
Not this, well.
not this 10.71 acre one.
No, let's see, how big is this one?
But there's 2 lots down there on Stratavon that they bought.
557 acres.
557.
Yeah, City of North Canton. Okay, so here we are, here's Apple Grove, here's Kmart, okay, CIC, this is City of North Canton there,
I gotta get a word in here about.
okay, well.
Oh, there's Stratavon oil?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the
CIC,
Kmart
that's the
property.
Kmart
That's the
property.
Stratavon property that has all the
The what?
industrial waste in it.
Right,
And this one back here, this is the one I talked to Cappy about 20 years ago. He told me you couldn't build there unless you want to spend big bucks.
mm-hmm,
But they're now wanting to buy this one up here.
oh, that one, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the big one there.
That's the
after,
one they're
right,
wanting to
yeah.
buy. For what reason?
But this guy wants his name on the property.
What a joke.
He's stabbing him 300 grand, you know. He'll-
Almost 400 grand, 397,600.
Yeah, but you can see where he's coming from, you know.
But this,
How much do you want for it?
The
I want
county-
400 grand.
the county only appraises it for 156.
I don't care. That doesn't matter.
And I talked to one of their appraisers. He says this raises eyebrows.
Yeah, well, you know, the price is the price, but the seller sells it.
But we don't have to buy it. Because you've got 11 acres left over from these 30 acres.
I hear you, Chuck. I hear you, buddy. That's why I said, do you ever get any answers?
Well, I'm waiting to hear if they're willing to confess.
I give up.
Take care.
Later. You bet.
invoice.
Thank you both for your help with everything. Yes.
There you go. You're quite welcome.
Thanks for coming to these meetings. Very much appreciate. Do we need to
I think when we get done with this, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That way is easier.
It is easier, yeah.
I don't think we have a micro detector.
That's great. Alright, is everybody back?
John back? Oh, John, sorry, I didn't see you, John.
Ready for me to turn it back on?
Yep.
We are.
Alright, when you're ready.
Can I get a motion and a second to adjourn executive session?
So moved.
Second. Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Let the record show that no action was taken in the executive session. Moving on to ordinance 18-2022. Can I get a motion and a second to read by title only ordinance 18-2022?
Nicole moves.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ben?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of North Canton, upon Board of Control approval, to enter into an agreement for the purchase of the real property located on Orion Street Northwest in the city of North Canton, Stark County, Ohio, known as City Outlot 325, permanent parcel number 9209052, at a cost not to exceed $397,600, and declaring the same to be an emergency.
All right, so this is authorization for the city to purchase 10.7 acres of land to be used as park and retention basin. Anyone have any comments, or is there any discussion?
I'd like to make one comment. So this came before council here shortly, and it has generated a ton of questions. I know that I've had a ton of questions, and I do want to state that all of my questions have been answered. I feel that it's been thoroughly vetted, and I think that in the long run, having a park in Ward 1 or that section of town is going to be good for the city.
Thanks, Dave.
And I'll just say to Dave and John and to all the new people, it was a lot to come before council right away, and as new council people, sometimes you don't know what maybe transpired, really, I think back in October. So thank you for your questions and your understanding, and I hope that you keep asking questions. And you know, I think we just talked, and we always have really great experts, from our attorneys to our finance to parks to admin. A great team of people working with us. So you know, thanks for doing that, and I think it's a great project too.
I had a lot of questions about this. They were all answered. We have a great administration, and thank everyone for answering my questions.
And I think I'll add, as the Ward 1 council representative, I think this will be a great asset for Ward 1. Talking about one I'm looking forward to. So.
I want to add, I think this is a legacy project for our community that could last a lifetime. And there's not much opportunity out there to get 10.7 acres in our city to develop as a park, which everyone in our area, our citizens, all their surroundings can use.
Well, when you think about the survey and what they commented that they wanted was parks, recreation, and Catherine, you mentioned the economic development it brings and what's going to happen up in that area. It's going to be a magnet, and how great that maybe we have different magnets in our area for all the different people, not only from our community, but from all around. So I agree.
Yep. Absolutely. The number one thing that came from the pandemic is people wanted more things to do outside.
Yep.
Where they weren't limited, and this is an opportunity to do that. So, any other comments?
I move to adopt.
All seconds?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion and a second to suspend the rules of council requiring 3 readings?
Revolt will move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And can I get a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 1822 under the suspension of the rules?
I'll make that motion.
Revolt will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Okay, so, I want to address the calendar before we adjourn. So with the passing of ordinance 1822, that makes the next two, yes, thanks. Like you read my mind. So February 1st and February 2nd are now off the table. We will not have those meetings. Our next meeting will be February 7th, 2022, Committee of the Whole, followed by the regular council, city council meeting.
Are we supposed, I thought we didn't have anything for February 7th. We have 2 members that are gonna be absent.
We have items for committee on the subject.
Yeah. So we'll still, yeah.
Do we?
we'll still-
Committee and council?
And why are we
Yeah,
having
items
committee
on
and
the
council? Because we had talked about that.
Well, you guys scheduled the council last week, and then we have on committee at least already, we have 2 things from developers, we have a zoning application from the public, we have ward
Oh.
redrawing coming back.
Well, we scheduled the council meeting because we weren't having it this week. And we needed it for this 3rd reading. So do we still need to have that?
I think with those, would you say the word again, couldn't quite make it out, but 2 things from developers that have to be dealt with, is that on the sanctuary?
One's the sanctuary, one's Monticello,
Okay,
and then there's a zoning application from a member of the public,
okay.
and he'd like it to be on the March planning commission.
So will they be on emergency then?
Well, we'll just kick it over to planning commission at council.
The zoning ones, and then also with the ones from the developers on the sanctuary Monticello, those get kicked to planning?
Those are coming from planning.
Those are coming from planning.
So then we still need the council meeting?
Yeah, and then we have nothing in emergency that would
Okay.
defeat anything by not having 6 people. So we'll still have hopefully 5.
Yes, nothing that has been submitted for committee so far is on emergency.
Okay. Okay, that sounds good.
And it would just be committee anyway, so
Just committee of the whole.
it's committee of the whole. So
Right.
it wouldn't be any voting, so just need,
Well, we have listed as both.
oh, it's a double header?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
I love that.
Well, then we put it on there because we thought we were gonna have the 3rd vote, so that's why we weren't supposed to meet this week.
Okay.
So when Chuck asked about that, that was initially the plan, and then we had 2 people that were gonna be absent, we didn't know that. And so, which totally happens, and then that's why we had switched it.
Plus, there's no meeting on the 21st, it's President's Day, so
Yeah.
I really feel we should meet.
We really have to now.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so everybody agree with the schedule that's listed on our screens here?
The 5 need to stay healthy.
Um,
The 5 need to stay
For
healthy.
the schedule?
This
Yeah.
is the schedule as it already stands.
Yeah,
The
that's
mayor, the 2 special meetings the mayor called have been rendered null and void by the fact that ordinance 18 is no longer on the deck.
Great,
Okay.
all right.
I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Sure.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?